Okay, so I'm starting. My session is about invisible screen flows. So first of all, thanks to our sponsors for sponsoring this great virtual event today. Before I start with the main topic, a little about me. I'm Yumi Ibrahimzadeh. I'm 22 times certified Salesforce architect. I'm working as a Salesforce solution architect at a Salesforce partner called AllCloud. I have a website called salesforcetime.com, which is a blog only about flows. I write some blog posts about flows, some step-by-step guides, some news about flows, and I'm the champion of the first worldwide Flow Fest. So today's agenda, I know that there are many great sessions about flow today, but I must make a short introduction to Salesforce flows. So I will start with Salesforce flow and main flow types. Then I will move to screen flows, which is the main flow type for today's session. Then invisible screen flows, which is the topic of my session. And I will do a demo. And I can say that a little more than half of this session will be a demo. Just to make sure that everything is going well here. You can hear me, right? Everything is going fine till now? I guess yes. Okay, great. So I will go back here. Okay, Salesforce Flow. As you know, Salesforce Flow is a powerful business automation tool of Salesforce. It gives the powers of developers to admins. And it's the number one tool when it comes to complex business requirements. Salesforce announced that the other automation tools, which are Workflow Rules and Process Builder, will be retired soon. So because of this, also for your simple requirements, you should use Flow. There are endless use cases for flows. There are endless things that you can do using flows. Plus, it's the most popular topic right now about Salesforce. So they are announcing tons of new features in every release. As you know, Winter 22-23 release is coming soon, and there are many great features about Flow, so I'm looking forward to it. And one more thing to mention is that starting with this new release, you cannot create new workflow rules. So it's actually time to convert your existing workflow rules and process builder to flows. There are 5 main flow types, which are screen flow, record triggered flow, schedule triggered flow, platform event triggered flow, and auto launch flow. Record triggered flow can be considered as the main flow type. This is the flow type that will replace your workflow rules and process builder. It can run when a record is created, updated, or deleted, and it can run before or after save. And it's an auto launch flow, so it runs in background. So when a record is created or updated, it runs automatically. There's nothing else needs to trigger this. The other one is schedule triggered flow. It runs at a specified time and frequency that you define, and it can run for each record in a batch, or it can run for without any record. So it's not a must to select the object. And this is also an auto launch flow, so it runs in the background. Platform event triggered flow is also an auto launch flow. It means that it runs in the background, but it runs when a platform event message is published. So when a platform event message comes, it runs. So the user doesn't need to click on something, nothing. So it's also triggered automatically. Then auto launch flow. So this one doesn't have a trigger. So it's like an Apex class. You can build all of your logic in this auto launch flow, but it's not triggered automatically. So something needs to trigger an auto launch flow. That something can be a process builder, another flow. It can be an Apex code, REST API, and many more options. And the last main flow type is screen flow, which is the main flow for this session. This is the only flow type that supports the screen element. So it means that you can put some screens into your flow, which is very different than the other flow types, and the users can see something on the screen. So you can use the screens to get an input from the users, or you can display something to the users. So I say something because you don't really need to display data. You can just display a text like good morning. You can display an image or anything that you want. And there are many great components that you can install for free, for example, from unofficialsf.com. So you can enhance the possibilities of screen flows. And there are many ways to launch a screen flow. So different than the other flow types, this one really requires a user interaction. So the user needs to click on a button or action or view a page that contains this screen flow, which is not possible with the other flow types. So for example, as you can see from this screenshot, there is a screen flow on the home page, and it can be used to create an account and a related contact. So as you can see, this is a standalone flow. So it's on the home page. It's not related to a record like opportunity lead or something. It's a standalone flow on the home page, and it creates some records. Or you can create a screen flow that is actually related to a record. So you can put this screen flow to a record page and pass the record as an input to the flow. So it will know which object and which record it's working on. So it can create, I don't know, like related records. It can update the record itself. So these were about getting an input from the users. Or you can display something to the user. So for example, in this screenshot, you can see a screen flow that displays something. So there is no input here. It's just a display. So first of all, it says good morning. You can make it dynamic. For example, before 12, it can say good morning. Between 12 and 6, it can say good afternoon and then good evening. So you can do this using a flow. And here, as you can see, it's querying some records related to this specific user. For example, it shows the open cases 8 and closed cases 12. So it can display a daily summary. So when you say flow, it doesn't really need to update, create records. So you can use a screen flow just to display something to the user like this. And I always say something because it doesn't really need to be related to a data. So right now I'm displaying the count of records to the user, but it can be that you just want to display good morning, Yumi. So you can use a screen flow for this. So till now, I told you many times that this is the only visible flow type. So the user really sees something on the screen. In the other flow types, user cannot see anything. It's happening in the background. But here, the user sees. So we come to the main question of this session. So should they always be visible? So my answer for this is no, because I think of a concept and I call it invisible screen flows. First of all, this is not an official term. It's not really called invisible screen flows, but I like to call this as invisible screen flows because these are really invisible. So what do I mean by invisible screen flows is it's a screen flow with a blank screen. So nothing is visible to the user. So there is a screen, but it doesn't have a title, doesn't have a footer, no header, no buttons, nothing. It's just white space. So nothing is visible to the user. And you add this flow to a white area of a Lightning page. So the area is already white, and you put a small white flow. So white on white, it's invisible. So the users cannot notice that there is a screen flow running on the page. So the other flow types are already invisible. They don't see anything on the screen. So why do you make a screen flow invisible? It's because we don't want to run a flow when a record is created or when a platform event message is received, or we don't want to schedule this. We want to run this flow when the user views the page, and it's possible only with screen flows. We want to put this flow to the page. So what can you do with these invisible screen flows? So first of all, the idea is that the user shouldn't know that there's a flow running on the page. So today, first of all, of course, you can do many things with this concept, but today I will show you 3 examples. And first one is tracking the page views. So whenever the user views an account page, for example, it will create a record in a custom object so that you can track the page views. The second example is to verify if the record is seen by the owner. So it means that I saw many use cases that the managers are assigning records to the reps. For example, they assign a task, a case, and then they see that it expired, the due date is expired. So, and the record is not completed. So they ask the user, why didn't you complete it? And they say, oh, did you assign something to me? I didn't see it. So actually, maybe they are lying, maybe not, but you don't know. So using this kind of flow, when the user views the record, it will mark a checkbox so that you can say that, okay, but you view this record. I see it. And the last example is about displaying a toast message. So I say that it's an invisible screen flow. Now I say that we will display something. Actually, we won't display something in the flow. So the flow itself will be invisible, but they will see a toast message. And you can install this from unofficialsf.com. So using a screen flow, we will trigger the toast message. So the flow itself will be invisible, but the message will be visible, of course. So let's do a demo. Let's see that everything is going well. Okay. Okay, so I have an environment. Let's go to, first of all, I have a custom object called page view. As you can see, there are no records here. I have few fields here. The user, it's a lookup to the user. Account, it's a lookup to account. And view datetime, it's a datetime field. So for now, I will show this example for account object, but you can do it for any object that you want. Let's go to setup and create a flow. So it will be a screen flow. It will be a very simple flow. So it will just create a record. But before doing that, actually, we will need to create a resource. So I would say new resource, variable. I will call it account. It's a record variable. Make this account. And it's available for input. So I will pass the whole account to this flow. And I will create a page view record. So let's say create page view. So the account, we already have the account. So I will use the ID of this account. User, we will use the global variable for the user. And we have one more field, view datetime. And again, we will use the flow global variable, current datetime. Let's save this flow. So in the advanced section, I recommend you to run this flow in system context, because it's an invisible screen flow and it's really doing some things behind the user. So maybe you don't really want to give access to this page view object to this user, so they won't really have the permission to create a record in this object. So if you run it in system context, it will override their permission, so it will run like an admin. So always select this one when creating an invisible screen flow. So I will save this right now, but this is not the end of this flow, but I want to show you why I put some empty screens to these flows. So let's activate this. Let's go to an account Lightning page. I will add this flow to a white space. So for example, I can add it here under this activity or under this. Still loading. Okay, so let's add it here maybe. I will pass the account. I will pass all the field values of this account to this flow. Actually, I just need the ID, but let's pass all of them. So right now I'm viewing this account page and the flow is here. So why I'm saying to put a white empty screen is this, because if you don't put, it will say that your flow finished. So the user will see that something is happening here. So I recommend you to put a white screen. But as you can see, there's a new page view record here, so that this user viewed this account at this time. Yeah, it's according to my time zone. So let's go back to the flow. So I will add a white screen here, blank screen. So the header, there's no header, footer, no footer. So just like this. You can see it like this in the freeform. But I also recommend you to handle the errors. So using default connector, go to the same white blank screen, because the idea is that users shouldn't see that something is happening. So if it fails somehow, they shouldn't see an error message on the screen. They shouldn't know nothing about this. We are doing things behind them right now. So let's save it. So I will go to another account. Let's say, I don't know, this one. So as you know, I put the screen flow to the end of this page. So where is it? Actually, you cannot see it. Actually, this small white space is the flow, but you know this just because I'm telling you. Otherwise, you won't notice that there is a flow running here. But what happened is it really ran and it created a page view record here. So if I refresh the screen like this, as you can see, it created another record. So this way you can track the page views of the users. So right now I just show you a very simple flow, but you can make it complex according to your needs. You can make it dynamic using the object ID prefix like this 001. You can understand which record it is, and accordingly you can populate a lookup on the same object. So if it's coming from the product object, fill the product lookup. If it's from account object, fill the account lookup. But why would you use something like this? Why would you track the page views? So as I told you, I'm working in a Salesforce partner, so I'm doing many projects. So I implemented this solution many times. There is a customer that wants to track the page views for security reasons. So they say if a user views 5 accounts under 2 minutes, I think it's suspicious. So in this case, send an email to the manager. So you can do it using this flow. You can make it a little more complicated, but you can achieve this. Another customer wants to use this flow in their community and they want to put it to a product page. So whenever customer views a product page, it tracks the page view. So if you see that a customer is viewing the same product page like many times, they're probably interested in buying this product. So you can offer them some prices for this and you can close the deals with them. So it's really useful and you can use it in many use cases. So let's move to the second example because we have a limited time. So this one is more or less like this, but it's not creating a page view record. Instead, I did it for the case object, but you can do it for anything. So when the owner of the case views the case, it marks a checkbox here. So for example, this is my user and this is not. So I will view this case and I expect the flow to not to do anything because I'm not the owner. So this is the field. If I refresh, or I can just go to the list view and refresh the list view, it's faster. It was this one. Let's refresh it. As you can see, it's still unmarked, but I will do the same for this one. It's assigned to me. Let's close this one. Let's refresh this list view. As you can see, it's marked so that my managers can know that I really viewed this case. So, but there is another flow that there should be actually another flow that unmarks this checkbox when the owner is changed, and I already created that. So I will show you the flow. So this one, I guess, yes, this is the one. So first it checks who is viewing the record. So if the 18 characters ID of the current user is just a formula here using the case safe ID function. If this is equal to the owner ID from the case, and if this checkbox is false, because if it's already true, there's no point to run this flow again. It's useless. So if it's unmarked, then it runs and it marks a checkbox, this checkbox. Then it goes to a blank screen that I showed you before, so it doesn't have anything. But if somehow it fails, it also goes to this blank screen. So in free form, if you want to see it, it's like this. In any case, it goes to this blank screen. So as you can see, there is a flow here, somewhere here, but you cannot see. So the last example, I will build it from scratch. We have 5 minutes. Okay, I can be fast about this. So this one will be an invisible screen flow again, and it will display a toast message to the users. Actually, okay, let's build it. So it will be on the account page, and it will display a toast message that says you have this much open tasks. So let's do it in free form. So first, I will get open task. The object is task. So according to is closed equals false. It's not closed. And what ID will be the account. Again, we will pass the account to this flow. It's account available for input. So what ID should be the ID of the account, and it's for the current user, so the assigned to ID equals to the ID of the user. And I will get all of them. Then I will check if there is a Actually, I will just assign the count of this collection. So let's say assign count. I will call it a task count. It's a number, no need for decimal places. It will be equals count of this get. So if there are 5 tasks, it will assign 5 to this number variable. Then I will check, are there any tasks? Yes means that this task count is greater than 0, and else I will rename this as no. Then let's create the blank screen again. No header, no footer. So if there is no task, there's nothing to do. If there is a task, then I will show a toast message. This is a component that I installed from unofficial SF. So I will make it for 5 seconds only. It will be success. So message. So I want to display the number of tasks in the message. Let's create a formula for this. And I will do something interesting here. So I will say you have, then the number. I will convert it to a text. We have the number of tasks in this number variable, and I will convert it to a text. So for example, if it's 5, it will say you have 5, then open task. So actually, if you have just one task, this is correct. You have one open task. If you have 5, it should say you have 5 open tasks. English grammar. So I will do something here. So I will say if task count is greater than 1, S. That's for the English. But if not, just blank. And check syntax. By the way, this is a new feature coming in the new release. Okay, and it was a pre-release org, so I have access to it, but it's a great feature. So if there are tasks, show the toast, then go to this screen. But like the other data elements, this can fail also for some reason. So you should handle the errors. So I will do the default message like this. We have like this display toast. I will run it in system context. Okay, so let's go to the account page. I will finish in 1 or 2 minutes, so don't worry about that. Still loading. We have the other flow here, so I will put this here. No, not this. Yeah, I will share that. Just a second. So I think I saved it. Let's go back. Okay. So for this account, actually, I don't have an open task, but let's see what happens. Nothing. Okay, let's go to another account. I have 2 open tasks for this one. Let's see. It says you have 2 open tasks. So I see something, okay, but I don't see something on the screen. So I don't know if a flow ran. I saw a toast message, but I don't have an idea if there is a flow running on the screen. So let's delete one of these tasks just to show you the message, because we did a trick with the formula. So right now I have one open. This one is closed. So I will refresh the screen. Let's see the message now. It says you have one open task. As you can see, the S is gone because of our formula for the English grammar. So this was the end of this example. Let's go back to the presentation. I have one more slide. So the considerations, there are 3 things that I want to mention. So all the things that we did today in this session works in Lightning Experience, because we are putting a screen flow to a Lightning page, and it's available in Lightning Experience. And the user must view the Lightning page because it runs when the page is viewed. So for example, regarding the second example that I show you, if the user views the record from a list view, it cannot mark the checkbox because the flow runs when you go inside the record, which is okay, I think, but it's a consideration. And the other thing is that in Lightning, it's not just a page layout. It's a Lightning page. You can create many account pages assigned to profiles, record types, or apps. So if you want to apply the same logic for all the accounts, for all the pages, you need to do the same thing. You need to put the flow to all the Lightning record pages of account. This is also a consideration, but you don't really need to build another flow for this. So this is the end of my session. Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me, you can add me on LinkedIn. I have a website, as I told you. It's salesforcetime.com. You are more than welcome to visit it. I also have a Udemy course if you want about flows. I will share these 2 links in the chat, so you can add me. So this is my website.